And then half of the time I was like, why are you doing this? You are so crazy.
What do you do when you're a pop artist that peaked in the early 2010s? Maybe release an album with an updated style more suited to the hits of today? Or work on collaboration with current artists? Why do something like that when you can ignore everyone around you and spend at least $30 million on an hour-long, tone-deaf musical video film? This is exactly what Jennifer Lopez did roughly a year ago when she released her film, This Is Me. Now, yes, I'm aware that I'm super late to the party, but after recently watching this film, I have to talk about it. So, it's time to combine nail art and commentary. Let's get into it.
Of Alida Taroo.
This film begins with Jennifer Lopez telling the story of Alida and Taroo. Basically a Puerto Rican Romeo and Juliet, but instead of them ending up dead at the end, Alida asks the god for help, and they turn her into a flower. Taroo, obviously upset, asks them for the ability to find her, and they turn him into a hummingbird. Explain to me how this is the ultimate goal for love stories. It's not a happy ending. And I think this speaks to the problem with the entire premise of J-Lo's outlook on love. She has this almost childlike understanding of what it means to be in love, and more specifically in a relationship. In her documentary, she hopes that this film she is making will help people believe that love exists. What I believe would have been more impactful would have been to have the movie that showed how to make a relationship actually last. When you're in a relationship, you have to make the conscious choice to stay together even through the struggles. But because we are saturated with love stories that show the puppy love stage, we rarely see what happens after you learn about each other and need to work past your differences to make the relationship actually stay alive. Look at that. It's like blue. Oh, that's so fancy. Hearts and flowers, so many. But I actually like the song, but it probably has a lot to do with nostalgia. So, in case you don't know, I am in fact a millennial. Hi, millennials. It really reminds me of like the early 2000s when I was younger listening to pop music. So it hit me right in the nostalgia bones. When you're wishing, I can slay my own dragon. I also didn't hate the choreography. Based on what I saw in the documentary, what this part is supposed to represent is what the heart goes through when it breaks. A big thing that people didn't like was how CGI it was. And yeah, that's very obvious. Ultimately, this is just a very expensive music video. On top of that, I think it was a good start to the overall story. After watching the documentary, it was obvious that Ben did not want their personal lives put into this movie. I think that song was a nice compromise to show that her heart was broken without outright incriminating anyone. Ben Affleck is playing the news anchor. So many people did not want to be in this movie. So was Ben Affleck the only one willing to be the news anchor? Rebound, rebound, rebound. The next song is called Rebound. The boyfriend spit out water when she said he was meticulous. I couldn't take it seriously because what he does is he takes a sip of the water, puts the water bottle down, slowly turns towards her, and then after she says meticulous, then he spits it out. 10 out of 10 acting. Look what I bought with the money I don't have. Oh, you can see my light. Ah! So the song is about being on the rebound after an intense relationship. But what we see visually doesn't quite match the lyrics that she's actually saying in her song. The dance looked more like she was trying to escape an abusive relationship, but she makes it clear in the documentary that she was never physically abused. What was the purpose of that? I think she could have said a bit more in her actual lyrics to relate to what was happening visually, or completely change the choreography to fit with what you're actually saying. I'm attempting to do like a French tip but make it look like a heart, and it looks like a hot mess. So welcome to Nubby Nails.
We are the Zodiacal Council.
Can we please take a moment to talk about her thing with zodiac signs and more specifically, the Zodiacal Committee. So according to the documentary,
The zodiacs were really meant to kind of represent the people in our lives who are always commenting.
they're more like guardian angels. They'll say things like, she's smart, she's beautiful. Because she wrote it, it does come across as a bit self-indulgent. I think it would have been more interesting if the Zodiacal Committee was considerably more judgmental of her. But as it stands, they don't really serve a purpose in my eyes.
You know I can't get enough.
I think the song is catchy. I liked the choreography and the cinematography more than I liked the actual music. When she says, "I'm still in love with you, boy," is she talking about Ben? Or is she still in love with the person that she's currently marrying in the video? Or is she in love with the person that she married before while she's currently marrying someone else? The song ends with this montage therapy session with each of the husbands she married.
I feel like
Another thing in her house.
A piece of art in your collection.
It was obvious that they wanted to work out the issues with her. They felt like they're being used by her, but she refused to work it out with them. And honestly, this makes her look, in my opinion, pretty bad. At the very end, she said something like, "I love you and you remind me of home, but I left home for a reason." And that's how it ends. And I think she's got some guts putting this out there. Ultimately, the song is about how she found people that were broken like her and why she gravitated towards them. The dancing in the song was fine. It's supposed to show them like breaking, like it's their bodies are like marionettes or whatever.
This is me now.
This one was super obvious in its auto-tuning. And I think they could have like toned it down just a bit. I don't know why, but when I listened to this, it truly reminded me of Hilary Duff when she would sing, there's this line in the song where she kept saying, "You met me halfway." Who's she talking about? She's talking to a younger version of herself. It just doesn't fit with what's happening visually in the movie, which I think is a huge problem in this entire film. And obviously, this song is supposed to be a love song. Because she's like, "Take me as I am, and I'll take you as you are, and we'll build a life together." Why is this song in this part of the movie? And I'm not sure what happened to make her suddenly not heartbroken anymore. I don't get it.
Midnight trip to Vegas.
Makes you think that the midnight trip to Vegas is supposed to be her. Like, whoever she was with next, they took a trip to Vegas and got married. But no, actually she was at her friend's wedding. I feel like maybe they could have incorporated it a bit better if maybe just showed her friend getting hitched at Vegas or something. That might have been nice, you know? Not a song about her.
I'm your hummingbird, baby, open your eyes.
She just got out of her therapy session saying she's good on her own. And then it's completely ruined by the song she's singing. She wants to be your hummingbird. She'll be the best version of her and she'll help you be the best version of you. And it's like, shouldn't this part of the show just have a song where you're just like, "I'm happy on my own. I'm happier without anyone," or something. But instead it's like, "Yeah, I'll be your hummingbird. We'll be the best versions of each other." And this nail polish is looking like a complete disaster. I gotta start over. I don't like it. Singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. Anyway, after she's done dancing in the rain, Joe's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "You can never give up, Joe." This supposed growth that she had went down the tubes. "Yeah, I can handle being alone for a little bit of time, but then I'm gonna go right back into a relationship."
The greatest love story never told.
I don't understand how this is the greatest love story never told, but okay. It was confusing to me because it started gentle and then all of a sudden it's talking about being like really sexual words, but then that never comes back again. Based on the song lyrics, it's making it sound like you're back together because of sex.
Ooh, you got me mad in love.
Also, there's Mad Love, which plays during the credits. We can just kind of skip that.
Not all love stories have a happy ending.
To be honest, I think the documentary was her biggest mistake.
I have decided to tell my story
and I've never shared with anybody in the world.
The things she decided to include in it, honestly, truly embarrassing to watch. Why would she include the parts where she wanted a bunch of these famous people in her music video and they all were turning her down? Why did she show the parts where Ben was uncomfortable with the whole thing? Why would she show all the discourse everyone had with the project and how basically everyone involved was like, this is not a good idea, you shouldn't do this? And her just completely not listening and doing it anyway. She was determined, as she said like several times in the documentary, to tell her story, but no one asked for this. And honestly, much of the negativity surrounding the film would have been completely mitigated if she didn't do the documentary at all. All it did was show how completely removed from reality she is. Oftentimes, she talks about her old life in the Bronx and how she came from nothing. Even if that's true, she's not that person anymore. The first indication is her willingness to pay $30 million on this project because no one wanted to fund it. I can't even imagine that much money. And she's just like flaunting it in this documentary with absolutely no awareness of how it comes across to the average everyday person.
We think you might be a sex addict.
I think it's kind of a sad irony that she wrote this whole thing about her relationship with Ben and talks about how he's the reason she felt like she could record again. And then they end up separated. There were good aspects to the movie. I honestly didn't hate how it started. I think some of the cinematography and choreography was well done. Some of the songs on their own, outside of the context of the film, were not terrible. They did remind me of my childhood. I just believe that her incorporation of the music into the actual film could have been done a bit better. You know, even though this wasn't the best thing I've ever seen, it's also not the worst thing I've seen. Check out my review on Amelia Perez. It's her life, you know, it's her money. She wants to waste it on this project and not listen to the people around her that are like, this is not a good idea, then that's her choice. This is the final look. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!